All right. Welcome to my humble opinion. I'm Will. I got Daff here and Mondo.
What's going on?
We have a wonderful show for you today. Today we're going to be talking about how your childhood can impact your adulthood, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. So, just starting it off and saying, how do you think your childhood could impact your adulthood? Let's start with not having a father. How important or how much does that affect an adult?
I think with an adult, so few things here. Not having a man around, right? Even rather it's a father, because if you have an absent father, do you have positive male role models and influences, right? Other than in the 80s, Bill Cosby or Cliff Huxtable on television.
Don't bring up Bill
So
Cosby.
you would have to see, so say as a man, right?
Right.
Not having a father, maybe you never seen your mother be loved by a man, then you may not have learned how to love on a woman because you never seen it, right?
Right.
A little girl never having like a fatherly love, that protector and stuff like that, then it's like when you do meet a man, then how do you be able to embrace it? Absorb it, receive that protection and all that kind of stuff that comes from a man. Because there's a lot of young ladies that I've met in my time, y'all wasn't loved by y'all daddy, and then now I got to get all the residual abuse from that because Earl left.
Hate their daddy.
Because Earl left when you was 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it is what it is.
But then in a sense, though, you could think about it as a lot of people have figures in their life and then they end up, the figures are not well. You know what I mean? Like they're abusive or
Right.
they're manipulative to the mom or the dad, and then it leads to them being, as adults, being hateful in some situations or not liking another type of person or whatever just because.
Yep. We was having this conversation, me and a cousin, that when a young person, right, you grow up in an abusive household, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then when you get older, because that's normal, right? You don't know that dysfunction is normal.
Not normal,
you know what I'm saying? Dysfunctional family, but you don't know no better. So then when you get older,
You look for it.
you right? You hitting on your
That's
mate,
what's comfortable
beating
to
on
you.
your mate because
Yeah.
that's what you know.
Yeah.
A woman letting a dude abuse them, but you seen that growing up, so it's just like, yeah, it don't feel right. I don't like it, but this
it's
is
life.
how this is how things go.
I think also when you look at the way, like you said, Mondo, young ladies will respond to a real man, not just some boy, but a real man. Sometimes it's foreign, and because it's foreign, they reject it. And they reject it, but they don't know why. They're like, this is a good dude. I like this guy. Everything's going good. So sometimes they'll self-sabotage a situation. The same thing with men. I know that, you have a young man who grew up and saw the way his dad treated his mom, but saw how his mom always said she loved his dad.
Yep.
Still cooked for him, still cleaned his clothes, still make sure he had everything, but he saw how abusive and disrespectful. So then that person feels, like you said, like that's love. That's what love is about. And if you're not fighting...
But sometimes with these women, you can grow up in a household and have both your parents and, you can go out into society and look for a man, and a man cannot be what you expect from your father, and he can expect that he's a great man just because he expects he's a great man, and he probably had a bad upbringing. And to you, he doesn't seem like a great man because he doesn't resemble your father figure.
Well, because... And I think that when you do have not just your father, but a positive male figure, that gives you a baseline, right? So there's going to be some things you don't like about whoever this person is, this man, whether he's your father or your uncle or your granddad. It's going to be something, but at least you get a baseline of what it is. For some
you have to have a foundation.
Something to compare.
Yeah.
Something to compare. It's like a young lady who dates a man, and the first dude that she's ever with, she's with him for the rest of his about 10 years. And that's all she ever knows.
I don't want her.
Me neither.
Why?
That's all she
Get some experience. Because you don't have no experience, and it don't got to be like sexual or nothing like that. Because my thing is, I just want to be appreciated. If all you know is
abusive.
this, then you won't appreciate nothing else.
But then maybe they might appreciate it because they're coming from something that they're used to, and then now you're different.
I mean, granted, I'm awesome, right?
Okay, but
So-
I'm just saying, you as in a perspective
Yeah, I
of
know.
people.
But you use the word, you were like rejected, right? I also think rejection plays a great deal in it, right? Because you can have a parent, right? You can have be in a household with two parents.
Right.
What happens when the parents separate, right?
Right.
And then whichever parent, and granted, not to beat up on the guys, but it's usually
The guy
the
who
father.
leaves.
I mean, most cases rather, the children stay with the mom. So then what happens when now you have that sense of rejection because your dad left, even though dad left mom,
Right.
but you feeling like, oh, he left me.
Why he didn't take me with him? And it's usually the one who leaves. It seems like he said, they're leaving everybody. They're leaving me. They're not just leaving my mom. But then it's like, well, what did I do that he didn't take me with him?
Yep.
If she's the problem, or if he's the problem,
Yeah.
if they're going to stay with the dad, then why didn't you take me with you? Did you only care for yourself to be gone and then not
Right.
me? But I think in those circumstances that carries over to adulthood. You know, if a young lady grew up and every man that she came encounter with, and I'm not talking about sexual relationships or intimacy, just every male that she thought had her best interest at heart, has treated her wrong, treated her foul. She's never experienced either unconditional love or someone who don't want anything from you but the best from you, right? So then she treats everybody like that.
Yeah.
Then
So-
you have the same thing with the young man, is that if he never saw how a man's supposed to treat a woman, then he's doing trial and error, right?
Well,
and-
and that's part of dating, I think, too, trial and error. Not purposely, but
Right. Well,
just
I just
kinda
mean,
happens.
I go back to foundation. Like, he don't have a foundation of what's considered, how to treat a woman or a good man. And sometimes it's a dysfunction that gives you the better perspective. Like, if we have a bad parent, then you kind of know what not to do or what you don't want to do because of the bad parent.
Say
Right.
when we say bad parent, right? So I'm gonna go back to the rejection a little bit. So you have an absent parent, right? And it built so with me, I had rejection issues, and I knew I went and talked because black people, it's okay to talk to a
somebody,
counselor
yeah.
or whoever. So
Mental health.
in the midst
Right.
of it, it was like, oh, you got rejection issues.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, sometimes, I'd be dating somebody and I'd just be like, couldn't let go. Now I'd be like, oh,
Bye-bye.
oh,
You still here?
yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't happy,
Right.
shoot. But, where that come from. So then I'm like, consistency with parents. Because sometimes it can be worse to be, I don't see you for 2 years, and then boom, you pop up, and it's like, oh, mommy, my daddy, whoever, and then bam, they're
You're
gone
gone.
again, and then that's almost causing more trauma because it's the
They're
up and
in
down
and out
the
of your
roller
life,
coaster.
yeah.
So I think sometimes it's better, like, look, just if you're gonna stay away,
Just stay away.
But rather just be all in. If whatever your issue is, it could be substance abuse, whatever. We can work through that.
Right.
It's like sometimes it's like just be there because humans are relational, right? So rather relationship is good, bad, or indifferent, it's still relationship. Everybody yearns for a relationship. I always say the most best resource on earth is people, right? And that's what it's all about. People, community, and it all start with relationships.
We're social beings.
Yep.
We social beings. And that's why isolation drives you crazy. It drives you crazy.
Yeah.
You can only
Yeah.
talk to yourself for so long, sing to
Yeah.
yourself for so long, read for so much.
Yeah, unless you're an introvert.
Then still,
And we know what I'm not. You know what I am. Not an introvert or an extrovert, whatever it is.
So-
I can't. Whatever.
How do you deal with someone that you see these issues, right? And you're dating them, you're into them, and you notice them, and they may not even notice that they have these issues. That's baggage from childhood. Do you have the time to sit there and work through that with them?
Well, do you not like them because they have these issues? And that can determine how much time you have for it, because do you like them and you think that you can see some type of potential in them where you can work with them? Or do you just feel like, oh, this is just a fling or this is just a thing? So I really, I don't care. Like I could dabble, but I don't really care. So
That's like, you know what? I ain't finna be here but about for 3 months.
Yeah.
So
I'm not your mom.
yeah.
Right.
I'm not your dad. I don't know.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But
Good luck.
Who do you think longs for that more, a man or a woman? Like
I think both.
Both.
You think both?
Yeah, I think some men have more mommy and daddy issues than females do, because sometimes females, we progress a little bit faster than guys, so we advance a little bit more and we're a little bit stronger. I feel like, I could be wrong, but I'm just saying, I feel like women be like, but my thing is, a lot of times guys have those issues and it's hard for guys to like portray their
Vulnerability.
Yeah, their vulnerability.
Some of us don't. Some of us.
They always act so strong and like, oh my God, blah blah blah. But deep down inside, you got mommy issues.
I hope they don't sound like that while they're
Deep down
saying it.
inside, we're broken.
We are.
Yeah, they're
clearly
hurt. And,
from
and
that
then
Facebook page, from the Facebook page.
Not only have they been
They're
broken
broken.
from their home, and they've had a dysfunctional family type of situation where their mom might not have been married, or their dad left, or they were with their dad and the mom left.
Why
whatever.
you telling my business?
But I'm just saying, I don't know your business. I don't know nobody else's business. I'm just saying. But you can date a guy and he could have these issues from home, and then he goes out into the world and he dates a girl, and then another girl breaks up with him and hurts him, and then he goes out and he dates another girl and he's hurt from that. So that by the time I meet him, he broke up. Like, I'm not fixing no China. You know what I'm saying? That's not my thing.
Do you think sometimes that, how to put it, from what you say, the mommy and daddy issues, would that be why some people would date older people because of their mommy or daddy issues?
I think that could be the case too, or even if you want to go back to the dark side of it, some people could have had some type of traumatic, like molestation issues or something when they were children, and so that's what they look to.
Let's jump right into it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead. Say what you're gonna
No,
say.
I'm saying let's jump into it, because I mean we finna go deep then.
I'm just saying, some people could have those traumatic experiences, so then when they go out in the world, they're like, oh, I'm 15, or not 15, I guess that's way too young, but I'm just saying I'm 20, and I'm going to look for an older guy that's already like 38 or 37 or something like
say
that.
15.
Say 15.
Because at my prom, when I went to prom,
Yeah.
so if I'm in high school, you're teenagers.
Yeah.
But some young ladies had dates that were in their 20s.
And they were able to come to the school?
Well, the prom
check
wasn't at the
ID.
school. It'd be at, wherever, but,
But
so,
some
yeah.
people like that, and then those older guys were probably able to give them some type of affection that they were missing from home, or even they could have seen their mom out doing some type of different types of things.
Getting
And
$40.
And then, okay, I don't know if it was 40.
I almost stuck my finger up, but this is a family show.
But so some things really affect people mentally, and like we don't really pay attention to it when we look at people, and we are concerned with people's humble opinions. You know what I mean? Because other people fight back at the opinions that people have, but the opinions aren't facts. It's the thing is that people. This is how people are, and we can't control how they are because
And just because
these things have happened.
when you
to
look
them.
at, we say our humble opinion, when you look at that, your opinions are usually formed from things that you've been through, things that you've seen,
Right.
things that you've heard. And so it's okay to have a humble opinion, but you also have to be open for other people's opinion. So when we talk about that hurt from a child up into an adult, now if I'm dating a young lady and it's going to get serious, there's some certain questions that I'm going to ask.
Right.
Was your mom and dad together for a long time? Never together? You got brothers and sisters? How did that? Because I want to know all of these things that make you click, right?
Yep.
Because
The
I
dynamics.
didn't know you as a kid. So now I know you as an adult. Now I know how to deal with you because I'm like, oh, her love language for her family
You're right.
was gifts. So that's why I'm having this issue with not getting intimacy from her. Okay, or her family didn't hug. They had no emotional attachments to one another at all.
Yeah.
Oh, now I see why it's difficult. So then I have a choice whether to try to bring that out of you and introduce you to it, or say, ain't gonna work with me. You gotta go.
We all have this invisible
Shield.
or glass, this window, this belief window. So from the time you're born to whenever, you're always etching something on this
Keep
belief.
a note.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you might learn something new.
Scratch out
So
some.
and then you put something else in, right? So same thing, like me, we come, so like my family, especially on my mom's side, growing up, we are an affectionate family.
Right.
You know, we kiss babies and we hug goodbye and do that kind of stuff. You know, we was taught like your older cousins, that's not you don't call them by their first name. They your mom and daddy age, you call them auntie.
We call them, yep.
Yep, you know what I'm saying? Your mama best friend or something, that's your auntie too.
That's a up
and
north thing.
huh?
That's a up north thing.
That's an up north thing. See that? You know what, y'all?
Well, because down south they all are cousins.
That's a fact. You know, so then I was dating somebody, and my mom had said something like to the kids, like, "Oh, because you know my kids call my boys uncle, whatever."
Yeah.
Right.
So she said, "Oh yeah, well, you know, Uncle, whoever, Reggie, David, whatever, you know." She like, "Uncle, that ain't his brother." Then my mom like, they been hanging out 30 years.
Yeah.
They like more than brothers. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but it's that, you know, how our family dynamics is. So with them, it wasn't like that. You just Tracy. You just my mama homegirl Tracy.
Yeah.
And
You
I
know
gotta
what I'm saying?
respect you.
Yep.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Mondo, what you're speaking towards is that respect level. That once you call somebody auntie or uncle, that comes with some type of respect. If I
Yep.
call you just Tracy, then I can say whatever I want because you're just Tracy.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I say this is my auntie, then what I'm doing is taking ownership of you. And once I take ownership of you, then the respect is there, and then no one else can come up. I can't see somebody on the streets saying something crazy to you because immediately I'm like, you don't talk to my aunt like that?
Exactly.
Like immediately, that's so that's the type of ownership, but that comes from how we're talking about how your childhood can affect your adulthood because those relationships are become so entwined with who you are and what you are that it can be 30 years later and you haven't seen this person in 15 years. And immediately you still feel that same sense of family.
Yeah.
Because some of my, you know, cousins, so now that I'm like 40, you know, sometimes now when they introduce, like when we was a kid, they'd be like, "Oh, this is my nephew." So now I'm in my 40s, so they'd be like, "Oh, this my little cousin."
Right.
And I'm like, "No, I'm still your nephew." You know what I'm saying?
I'm still young. I'm little
but
Mondo.
I think so my respect is you're
Right.
still here. And I think now they're respecting me now because they like you not that little boy no more.
Right.
But to me, it's like that don't change.
Okay.
Yep.
So let me ask you guys this: What did you take from your childhood that you kind of think negatively impacting you as an adult that you didn't probably even if you didn't deal with it, or that it just was you couldn't deal with it? You still haven't mentally grasped how to deal with it.
You gonna go first? You know I might get to rambling.
Nah, you go.
Okay, I go. So back again, like I was saying earlier, like you know, dealing with rejection at a certain age, I was really a knucklehead. You know, getting in trouble, trying to run the streets and stuff. Mom's like, "Nah, I ain't having it." You know, she called her father like, "Hey, I'm about to drop this little, I can't say on the show." Off to you, you know what I'm saying? So I think I'm just going to Kalamazoo for the weekend or something.
Oh, your bags
Monday
back.
come back. Oh, my mom come back to give me money. She dropping my stuff off, right? So, you know, as a young boy, you know, even though I was like probably like 14 at the time, you know, it make you give you a sense. And yeah, I know my mama gonna say this, so I'm not mad at of course, I love my mom, but you know, back then you thinking like, dang, my mama don't want me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Pops ain't around at the time for whatever reason. My daddy's
He's
probably
gone,
gonna see
now
this
you're
too.
gone, right.
You know, still love both my parents. They my people. So, you know, as a young person, you like, I don't want to be, like I love my grandfather. I don't want to be here.
Right.
So you was like, I want to be with my mama.
Right.
So, you know, it caused that. Then you get to rebelling. So even when I would come home sometime, I wouldn't verbalize it, but in my heart, I'd be like, I don't want to go back. But then after a while, then I'm like, now I'm older.
ready to
So
go
now
home.
I'm
Yeah.
16, 17. I'm not even coming to Grand Rapids that much because
Right.
I'm, you know, now
Yeah.
I didn't build. It's almost like on Boys in the Hood.
Right.
When your mama wants you to come home from the weekend and furious, like he grown. You know what I'm saying? So, but you know, as I got older, like I didn't realize that. Now with being an only child on my mom's side.
I wish I was the only child.
Huh?
I wish I was the only child.
Yeah, it could get boring sometimes. And then if something happened, you're the only one that's here, so you
Yeah.
had to do it. But like my cousins or somebody always
No, I
lived
love
with
my
us.
siblings.
So I didn't really grow up as an only child, even though I was an only child. It was very seldomly
more people.
that
You were
I was the
alone.
only kid in the house. Made me lose my train of thought. So back to it. It just, you get this sense of unwanted. So then when you're growing up, you don't know it. So like, I'm genuinely a nice person. So, looking out for people. So like, I used to be I'll say afraid. I think I used to be afraid of people leaving my life. Now I'd be like, y'all can get the hell on.
You call a lift.
Nah, you got 2 feet. You got them fancy sneakers, but use the mugs or something.
The new Nikes.
But so I think that's it. I think that was like a big thing, and then not knowing how to receive love, because the love that you wanted or yearned for,
right.
Sometimes I would call home and tell my mom about things that was happening, and like she wouldn't believe me. So then that gave me trust issues. So not saying that I don't trust people,
right.
but then I'm thinking, don't nobody trust me? Because if I can't tell you what's going on, and then I got older. She apologized and stuff. And
Right. But you can't immediately just think I'm not telling you the truth.
Right. But it's from being a knucklehead, so you automatically assume. And then what happens is, and we were talking about it, I forget one of the episodes, I think we discussed like when you're like dating and you always hear the negative about somebody, right?
Right.
So I think what it is when, people will always, because even have some relatives, he's always skipping school, he running the streets. But then when I come to you about an issue that I'm having, y'all like, oh, you just saying that because you in trouble. And I'm like, no, like this was going on in this environment that I'm in, because the environment I in wasn't how, I say the lady my granddaddy was with, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the right thing, you know what I'm saying? So, and my mom and them, some of my aunts, they wasn't believing me. Bam, then 10 years after the fact, now y'all want to bust somebody in the head or something.
After Mondo's mind is
Right,
destroyed.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So you go to your 20s, your 30s. I mean, even 40s probably still have some residue from it, but
But it carries
you
on.
live and you learn.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you think you personally, from the story you just shared, do you think that you would ever recover from that, or will you just learn to deal with it?
No, I recovered. Yep, I recovered. I think in the midst, you think you learn to deal with it. I always say, my oldest daughter, real bad tonsils, right? One day I just happened to look like 2 apples. So with her, that was, you know what, scratch that, let's go this. When you grow up poor and everybody around you is poor.
You don't know you're poor.
You don't know you're poor. So with me living in Alamo Hills in the 80s, we all poor. We cracking jokes on somebody getting food stamps. We all getting food stamps, right? But then once you get better or more, your family evolve or whatever, come up a little bit,
right?
Then you like, oh,
We had it horrible.
oh wow, really?
It was bad.
We was happy though,
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. So it's kind of like when you in the midst of it, like you really don't know, like it's just a normal.
So before we go to Dav, what has that done for you now? Like that, the whole thing that you just said, how has that made you either a better person or a worse
It's
person?
made me more patient with people, more understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at it like sometimes like when I really needed just an ear sometimes, just to hear me out, believe me. So I know sometimes you can make a million mistakes, but when you come to me with that time you didn't make a mistake, sometimes you just want me to hear you out.
Right.
You just want to be able to. Sometimes a person just need a second, third, fourth, fifth chance.
So that enabled you as an adult to be more patient, because you know what it's like when people are not patient or taking the time to understand you as a person.
And it's crazy because how people sometimes hit me up and just, maybe just to just get something off their chest or whatever. Now, they know I like to crack jokes, so then they got to take the chance of,
right.
Man, he might say it on me. But then it's like, you're a good dude, so I'm just giving you this,
Right.
Because
The way I know how to
I
unpackage
need a
it.
safe place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, my safe place wasn't receptive of what I was.
Okay. What about you, Dad?
I don't know.
Look at that. I don't want no parts of this part. Okay.
As a child, I was pretty sheltered. I don't know if that, like, if everybody was like that.
I
but
wish I was.
I wish I had shelter.
So that's deep. So I don't like what I bring from my like childhood experiences that as an adult is I feel like I have a lot of trust issues. And I don't trust people a lot because being sheltered and being like in the situation that I was in.
Go ahead. I got questions now, Jack.
It'd be like, so I was really nice, right?
Yeah, you're a sweetheart.
Yeah, as far as we know. So I was really nice, and like my mom was always like, be great, blah, blah, blah. My dad was always like, you can do this, whatever, whatever. And I was always nice to people, but then sometimes people took advantage of my niceness. Mm-hmm. So then when they take advantage of my niceness, I started to realize, especially as I got older, like, you know what? I don't know if I can trust you. So what happens to me, or what happened to me, is it came to the conclusion where like a lot of people, I don't trust them. And then it went to the further extent of like, especially a lot of guys, I don't trust them. And it wasn't because my parents then, do for me or whatever. It was because of the way they sheltered me and the things that happened.
I'll say one thing too. I was angry. I was really angry.
Yeah.
And then when I joined church and got into church and stuff, I learned how to control my anger, because I learned that God God would get angry,
right?
But it was how you can. So there's nothing wrong with being angry. It was how you control your anger.
Right.
Like I don't lash out on people no more. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't get physical and stuff.
Right.
But I be angry.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never been like.
Didn't it say something
physical.
like "be angry but don't sin" or something like that?
I don't know.
I mean, either I had to look it up later,
Yeah.
but it says something like that. I had to ask my mom.
Yeah, but the trust issue is my thing that I brought from my childhood.
So, with that, how does that play in your relationships now? And I don't mean just dating relationships. I mean even like relationships with us, relationships with whoever.
Relationships with people. Well, I don't trust a lot of people. Like it's just hard to trust people. Like you can tell me all day that I do this or I'll do this for you, or you can tell me that I can trust you, but I don't always just go right out and trust people. It's really hard, because you never know if somebody's going to eventually turn on you, or if somebody's eventually going to change their perspective, although they said they would do something, but then they don't.
So do you have a wall up a little bit?
Oh, I always have a wall up.
So does that make it so... I'm not trying to like...
And it's not... You can pry as much as you want.
I'm not trying to pry. I'm just trying to, just understand it. Because I know people probably watching, they probably want to ask questions too. So,
well, I have a wall up because I don't want to be hurt.
Do your wall have a door though?
Yeah, I open it sometimes, but I close it just as fast as I
You probably got a little
open.
window or just some
A little peephole.
blind. Who is that? No.
And it's not that and then it also leads to the fact that it's not that I don't like people, but I don't like people. Does that make sense?
I love people, but I don't like them.
I like them. You know what I'm saying? And my biggest thing all the time is I always try to tell people to look for the good in life, because I always try to look for the good in life, and I try to support people, but then at the same time, people just...
They're
jerks. People.
Yeah,
they're jerks. They're not as good as the three of us.
They're not
We're
always
better
good.
than
They're not
everybody
always
else.
good humans.
Yeah.
But you can go out and you can say, okay, so this is a trust thing. I can go out and I say, oh, I'm going to help you with this, and I'm going to help you with this, and then you turn around and you help these people, and then they go back and they throw it right back in your face, like.
See, well,
what was the point of me wasting my time trying to help you?
But sometimes I've learned that.
I let it
just
go.
Just because I can help you doesn't mean you can help me.
But at the
maybe
same
this relationship is me giving to you.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're helping that person. You're also helping yourself get ahead too. You know what I'm saying? Or you're helping yourself inside.
Reciprocity. Y'all know I can't say. Yeah, y'all know I ain't got that tooth back there no more. Was it the law of reciprocity? You know, basically, if you want something, give it.
Give it.
Yeah. But I do try to, you know, help people in a sense. But at the same time, I don't always feel like I'm going to always get something in return or look for anything in return or trust that people are going to appreciate me helping them for what I did.
See, that's the word, appreciate. I think that's what it is. You just want appreciation, because that's all I want to do is be appreciated.
Well, I don't always.
You,
I don't think I'm looking for any type of gratification from appreciation. You know what I mean? I just look to people as I hope that I can trust them.
See,
you know what I mean? Because people appreciate me. I hear it all the time that people appreciate me, but it's not the appreciation I'm looking for. It's the fact I don't really know what I'm looking for.
Think about.
Oh, so that's it.
Yeah. So you think about this. You say appreciation. Are they appreciating you or what you do for them?
I don't care about me.
Because sometimes people just, no, I'm just saying, people will appreciate what you do for them. And then once you can't do for them, they become unappreciative.
That's true, but even if you don't do things for people, I'm just saying you can't trust people, basically, and that's my thing.
So she don't trust us.
She don't.
Hey, Matt, she doesn't trust you back there, guy. It's okay.
I trust Matt.
So anybody who doesn't know,
the
Matt
other two
is our amazing sound guy, part of the team.
Matt's the producer, the behind the scenes. So it's really this is a four-man thing, for a person, a four-person thing.
See what I'm saying? That's why I can't trust you.
So
I can't even trust you in the group.
Whoa, you got. So how has it affected you? You thought you was off the hook? Wasn't he slick for to try to get into something different?
I tried to segue quick too. A lot of things. I think for me, I used to have abandonment issues.
That's the word I was looking for.
I had abandonment issues.
That's the word I was looking for, abandonment. Yeah.
And I think my abandonment issues came from, I think I just never thought that I was good enough. Like when you deal with parent-wise, because I was like basically raised with my mom a lot. And then later on in years, I was raised with my dad. But I had a lot of anger towards my dad because I figured like, you left me knowing my situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, you left me. I come and see you, you're doing better than what my environment is, and yet and still you left me here knowing that that's what it was. So I carried a lot of anger for that.
And that's the word I'm looking for.
Abandonment?
It wasn't, even though I have rejection issues, but it came from my abandonment issues. That's because I remember with the counselor.
You felt abandoned?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt abandoned because I felt that my mom abandoned me when she left. So
when she dropped you off? Yeah.
Rung the doorbell. Daddy, your
everybody gonna
here.
be like, ooh, Miss Marie. No, it wasn't. You know, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
She thought she was
doing the best for you.
She thought like, as a woman, I can't. So the only man that let's go back to her childhood.
But some women don't do that. Some women don't go out and try to say, oh, I'll get this man to help. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or find a father figure for their child, especially boys and young men.
Sometimes women want to show that they're strong.
Yeah, but
do
it's not always the case. Like some women have raised great men, don't get me wrong, but it's not always the case that some women can raise men because they're already dysfunctional and traumatically messed up their own selves before they go out and try to raise a whole grown man.
So what my mom did, she went to her childhood. So the two men who raised her father, her grandfather deceased. So she went to her daddy.
Yeah.
Hell, he raised me and my brothers and sisters, whoever.
We ain't dead.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So, so it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
And so then I think for me too, being very transparent, like earlier on in school, I was no good. Not because I couldn't learn or couldn't do anything. I think I told this story on this other thing that I was doing about Miss Jones, Ruth Jones. I don't know if everybody knows her, but she's a prominent educator of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Hold it down, R.I.P.
Yeah. So I remember her sitting me down and really like having a conversation with me about learning. And asking me things like how, like no one had ever asked me, how do you want to learn? You know, how do you learn best? Let's try this and let's see how you learn it, and then we'll go from there. So I had a lot of animosity towards that because I felt like school wasn't for me, you know. And then once I figured out how I like to learn, I flourished, like just boom. And so that was a barrier that I got off of. And then the same thing, you know, growing up, when you grow up poor, and you don't know, like Mondo said, but then you start seeing that you're poor because I started moving in different environments, having different kind of friends from playing basketball, going to cadets and things like that. And then you would meet other people, and then you would go into their environment and see how things was going. So I always thought, like, man, I never want to grow up and have a kid and have them to go through what I went through. So what I carried on to my adulthood is that I'm always going to work hard no matter what. And I'm not saying that I'm better than you, but I'm the best person in the room. That's how I feel. And I'm going to make sure that I'm the best person in the room, because I'm going to come in the room. I'm going to come in the room and be well equipped when I come in the room. And I was talking earlier about some people fight to get into the room. I fight on two fronts. I fight to get there, and then I fight to know what it takes to stay in the room.
That's the thing. Staying in the room, and then
bringing people into the room. And so, for me, I
can't always trust them. No,
you can't trust them. But I always thought, I think it was the anger from my dad. It was the love of my mom that I brought into adulthood. She's an amazing person. Like, she's the first person that taught me about God, the first person that taught me about, like, unconditional love, but even in our chaos. So now I'm that person that I'm always going to talk about God regardless. Like, we could be drinking some Crown Royal and God may come up. You never know when it's going to come up. I genuinely love people. I get that from my mom, and sometimes it's a fault because you're just genuinely trying to love everybody, and then everybody screw over you or whatever. But one of the biggest things that I brought from my childhood is the family. Like, I'm so big on family. I'm so good with connecting with people, making people feel a part of something, because that's how, when we didn't have anything, we had each other. And we had family, and we had, that's the first time that I was disappointed. The first time I knew somebody loved me. The first time that somebody hurt me. Like, all of the first time things that some people don't get until they leave their home. Like, when you talk about shelter, not talking about you in general.
Yeah.
But when you're sheltered, you don't get that socialization. And then that first time you go out and get hurt, I'm already prepared for it because I've been disappointed. First time I felt in a relationship that I was being abandoned by the woman that I had already felt that abandonment. I was starting a little bit further than I would say someone else who didn't have these things.
So it didn't bother you being abandoned?
No, it did. It bothered the heck out of me.
But you kind of built for a little bit.
So you're good.
It's almost like you got a bulletproof vest on.
Because you still feel the bullet.
You know what you're going into. I'm going into this war, but I'm more prepared for it.
Right.
Than rather, like he's saying, if you shelter,
I'm gonna have a breakdown.
Like, this is what happens out here.
So people lie. So let
me ask y'all this, and it's because we still dealing with childhood to adulthood, right?
Right.
So you brought up elementary school. A thought I had, I'm like, some people prefer working third shift, second, first, whatever. Some people like sitting at an office a day job. Some people like being at a factory, doing hands-on stuff, building and stuff. So you're adults. You didn't just become like that as an adult.
Right.
So as a child. So how fair is it for the kid like me? I like to read, right? But I sometimes like to read. I have to have some type of something in the background.
Noise.
Right, yep. And I don't know how it works. If I have music playing while I'm reading, I can read more. I don't know what a different stimuli or something.
Sometimes it correlates with the music. The words correlate with the music.
Possibly.
And it helps, with memory.
So, but in school, you taught sit there.
Don't listen to music. Don't
be
bother
quiet
nobody.
And read. Then some kids... Well, he's ADHD. Well, I didn't get diagnosed. I don't even know if they had ADHD when I was a kid. He's ADHD because he likes to run around and sing trap music. And he got all his work done? Yeah, but...
when he doesn't sing track music...
Now, Sarah Beth over there, she can't focus. So it's my fault. So he need to get on drugs... because she can't focus because he got energy, but he even got all his work done already.
Right.
Like I said, Miss Jones taught me how I needed to learn.
Well, everybody learns differently.
Yeah. Right. And that's the point. Like, what role does that play on us? Like, I suck at math, right? I'm a word person.
Right.
So like me, no matter what, if once we get past times tables,
Yeah. But that
Times tables.
I'm cooked.
no algebra.
I'm cooked.
No calculus.
Man, stop! Don't touch that. Junior the other day, she was like triangle, and I was like, "Yep, that is a triangle." And I learned that in gym.
You didn't know if it was a cube
said
or
gym?
not.
She was like rectangle. I'm like, that look more like a square, but it don't matter. Yeah.
Octagon.
So how you think that plays into the setup? The prison, the school, the prison,
Pipeline,
the pipeline, right?
I think
The prison, whatever.
Yeah.
it is.
Institutions.
I think
Yeah.
that as, and I can just speak for, I'm not speaking for every African American, but I'm just going to speak as an African American. We're very hands-on people. We're very, let me see and then I can do. Not saying that we're not intellectual people.
Right.
But when in the absence of instructions, we are more likely the people who could get things done. So I think when you don't take that into account, then you're excluding a big group of people. Perfect example would be GM. GM, a lot of people came up from the South and came up here
Herd people.
to get jobs in GM, right?
Taking the jobs from us.
So they're working the North.
No.
So they're working in these factories, and a lot of them were coming like right out of high school. Someone was lying about their age to even get into the factory and work. There was no manual for what was done. They were telling them and showing them, this is how you make the car. This is how you make, that steel case. This is how you make the, the furniture or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So then come along and you got all of these people now who are making $30, $40 an hour sometimes. And a lot of them was African American people. They come in, and then there's a wave of people who now are coming into the workforce, and they can't compete with the hands-on part of what GM and Steelcase is doing. And we can't get rid of, just fire the ones who've been there all of these years that's doing it. So how do we get rid of them and oppress, and I'm using the word oppress, oppress them on the job, which means to stop them where they are and they can no longer continue to make an income in this company. I put an aptitude test in place.
Yep.
Now a job that you've been doing.
That's biased.
Yeah, that's biased. A job that you've been doing for 25 years. Now I put this piece of paper and say, if you can't write down how you're doing it, then you're not qualified for the job anymore.
Because I can't articulate.
I can't articulate, but the cars have been safe for 25 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that when you ask about how people learn from there to here, I think that's a big part of it, is that, even when you're a kid, you don't know how to read or write. Everything is hands-on. You count hands-on. You read with letters hands-on. Like, everything is hands-on.
So
But
like
then
she did me. She said
she
triangle.
threw up the rock.
Then she broke it down and said diamond.
See?
Yeah.
She with Jay-Z now.
Yeah.
But just think about that. We start off as kids, everything is like hands-on. And then we go to articulating how we should do something.
Yeah, I think it deals with the psychological effects too of how people learn things. You know what I mean? I don't think it's just like everybody is one way or everybody's
Right.
hands-on, because some people are better at seeing things. Like my sister, for example, she can see stuff.
What
and
sister? Which
and
sister?
I only got one sister.
Okay. I thought you were-
That one.
Hey,
That
sister.
one.
Hey, sister.
So she's very good at like seeing things, and she's super book smart. You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm better at like doing things, and I learn better that way. I want to touch it, I want to feel it, but she can like read stuff or see something, and boom, instantly she knows
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, I know me. I'm handsy.
yeah, are you?
He got the paperwork to prove it.
But I think some people are better at, learning styles different types of way. And I think also that schools should they should implement that. And I think they do already. I don't know. I don't have any kids or anything like that, but from like seeing things, I do feel like they should put that in schools so that kids learn differently, because everybody isn't going to learn on the same style.
I could be wrong, right? I think schools right? The classroom is set up not for the students, but for the teachers.
They are, but then the teachers at the same time, the teachers have to realize that their learning style is going to be completely different than the children's learning style. So I was a corporate trainer for a long time, so I used to they send me all over the country and stuff like that, teach people.
Oh, she just stunted on us, but it's fine.
And
private
then,
jet.
and then, it wasn't private, but I did have a corporate card. So, anyways, so when they send you out, they send you these different places, and so you learn. You have to teach different people like different things, but you learn about the people because everybody you couldn't teach them the same way. So some people, so you have to integrate a learning style to teach everybody.
Correct.
So you have to go like, okay, let's do a hands-on activity. Let's do a visual activity. Let's do something where everybody like does it so that everybody can see. Because if you do the few different learning styles, everybody can kind of understand it and grasp.
That's what I was going to say is like when I do training, I always make sure that I'm hitting the core ways that people learn. So we may be talking about this subject, but then I'm gonna have something visual to go with it, some hands-on to go with it, something you can write down, like all of those things incorporated. And I think that sometimes teachers, not a knock on teachers, but they don't have time.
That's true.
They don't have the time to do that when Mondo ADHD running around singing trap music, and I gotta keep telling him to sit down.
Right.
And then you got Sarah Lynn over here sleep.
I
Yeah.
probably would be this one to sleep because I don't like trap music.
No, I love trap music.
I bet.
We can tell.
So,
That's why I got this social distancing pillow right here.
but I think that also when you look at environment, sometimes people bring their ideologies
Right.
from their childhood,
From their belief window.
from their belief window,
Yeah.
and sometimes they didn't etch it into their window.
Yeah.
No, it was etched in for them.
That's the thing with your belief window is you because you're wearing it.
Right.
Yeah.
You ain't never wrote nothing on it. Everybody else
Get to
is
write it.
drawn on your belief window except you. But then you're responsible to figure this out and to shift this and move this and take this out. That's the sucky part.
Yeah, but you got to learn about yourself.
But at
Yeah,
what point,
but
as a
we-
kid,
That's what my essay is about today, actually.
Oh, so
but-
but you didn't finish it.
at
No,
all.
not yet.
But sometimes a kid don't understand why they are the way they are because they can't see past what they've been brought up for. So if I don't know,
Well, as a child, you're still an adolescent. You're not completely at that stage where
But
you
you can
understand.
corrupt the adolescent.
No, but by this time, so by the time you 17, your belief window is like a page in that book. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff on there. So, okay, they say in China, right?
Right.
When you first start school, they don't even teach you for real. You just learn the morals and respect. But before then, at home, they say they dictate like, okay, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So all we do is put different things in your room
That pertains to that career.
Right. That and it's like a stimuli or whatever. So that's all you know. That's all you gonna do. So it ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This what you gonna do, right? Because they believe
if you put it out there, it'll happen.
right. So with us, all that toxicness, dysfunction. Remember, well, yeah, probably too. Remember when you was a kid? Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a police.
I wanted to be a bus driver.
Bus driver.
You can still do that.
No, because you don't like people.
Okay, listen, let's correct this before we get too far. I like people, but I just have a hard time trusting people.
I've seen some of your posts.
And what does that mean? All my posts have been great posts.
They were not like people posts.
They were.
So let's say I want to be a cop, right?
Right.
But then I grow up and I start getting this belief window. So my dad's my hero, but I seen the police take him away. Now I haven't seen my dad for 20 years, right?
So you don't want to be a policeman.
Right.
Police are bad people. They break up families. That's what I'm gonna probably think.
Right, yep. Because that's been put on my belief window.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying good, bad, right, or wrong. So then the next thing, well, I want to be a basketball player. Okay, so now I'll go to the court, Will and them, man, you suck. And you got on them raggedy shoes. So now my belief window, you know what I'm saying?
Till
can't
I
play
get
ball.
better shoes.
Yep,
I
or
can come back to the
or
court.
whatever, or you suck. So now you done broke down my self-esteem, or so it's those. So that's what I'm saying. So then by the time you 16, when you try to come in, now you got to figure all this stuff that's on there. because everybody that you ever met, teachers,
Has
family
psychologically
members,
affected you.
Yep. And nobody ever just said, like you said, Miss Jones came and she took an eraser and she erased it off, you know, and then she filled it with something else. So how many of us have actually had a person come in and to see something that was wrong, or they didn't speak the right thing into us, right?
Right.
When black people, that's what we do. Oh, you're a nappy head so-and-so.
Yep.
Now, granted,
Fat ASS.
technically, it's nothing wrong with having nappy hair, right? But when you say it to me in a negative sense, now that gave some little girl a complex about her hair, right?
Right.
That play on her esteem.
Right.
And then if she don't have, especially a male reinforcing her about her beauty, then what?
Right.
Then Slickster come.
Mr. Mondo.
You like the nappy hair, huh?
Nah, I mean, hey, long as it's healthy.
Yeah, you
long
can
as it's
tell her
healthy.
whatever because
Yeah.
now she's gonna fall.
Because ain't
for it.
nobody never told. But girl, he loves me. But
Yeah.
but he been busting you upside your head every month.
But if they had trust issues, they wouldn't have that problem.
But think about this.
Probably why they got the trust issue.
Right. Think about, when you're a kid and you do have that person who continuously reinforce the things that
Positive things.
positive things, reinforce those positive things. And I'm sure that we've all had someone that one spark was like, man, I can do anything. Like this person just sparked it for you right off the bat. Let's talk about like who was that person? What was that instance? And it may be many or multiple, but what was the one that sticks out for you that really changed either your thought pattern or the direction in which you were going?
Me? My granddad changed like a lot of stuff for me. I just feel like he was always like a very motivational person. You know, he was always super humble and always like do what you need to do for yourself and take care of yourself and always protect yourself. And from him, what I got is that I could always be great because he said that you can always be great. He and my dad, and so my dad at the same time, he's always been a person who's been like, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't work for you don't have to work for people. You can always work for yourself. And he's always been like a motivational person like that. But he got it from my granddad, and that's what they always kind of instilled in like me, my cousins, and
So
stuff
you
like
carry that with you. To
yeah,
help
that I
you
can
through the
always be
times.
great.
Right.
Yeah,
You are great.
I know I'm great.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't have to tell me because it's been
I'm just
instilled in
saying,
me that I am
I'm a
great
good friend.
person.
I see greatness in you.
I know. Thanks.
Yeah. Black people don't appreciate nothing. You give them a compliment. No.
I mean, I don't know if I can trust you quite yet.
Mondo.
What was the question again?
The question was, who spoke life?
Okay,
into
yeah.
you?
I mean, my family, especially like my grandma. Most of the times when I say my grandmother, I'm talking about my great grandma, and I think she spoke life like to everybody. She was the one who taught us how to love. You know what I'm saying? How to be open to people, like how to, let people in, help people. Even though we ain't have paper like that, you know what I'm saying? She always help people out. So I think that's where I got it from. That's why I, look out for people, 'cause that's what I seen. I remember we was, young, growing up at Alamo, we had a phone, and it was some people lived in the building with us. I can visualize it now that I think about it. One of the neighbors would come and use the phone, so my uncle would be like, he ain't like that. Like, why they gotta come over here and use the phone? But grandma was like, no, it's okay. You ain't expecting no phone calls.
Right.
They can come use the phone long as they ain't calling long distance, didn't care. So, I think with that, as I've gotten older, different men come in my life, that I met, from like, Dramone and Ken and Darius and, John Covington, guys like that, instill stuff in me and push me and motivate me. And I think it's always good for me when somebody who's not been around you a long time, when they can see something in you,
Right.
that somebody who's known you for years seen it in you,
Right.
and it's almost like, bam,
It gotta be
confirmation.
true.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, sometimes it's like, wow, and it may be a confirmation from like 20 years,
Right.
or you know, however long, but you know, it's always good. I think we need that, and I think we need to learn how to encourage
Other people.
others.
But when people see things in you, how often do you feel like you've acted on what they've told you they've
See,
seen in you?
you got on my nerves, and that be the thing with me. It's crazy. The confidence I'll have in you, I won't have it in myself.
Sometimes it be like that.
You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, ooh, you can do it. But then somebody be like, oh, bro, you right there. You got it. You
Like,
right at the finish line. And I'll be like, man, I can't. You know what I'm saying?
Look of excuse of why I can't.
Not even excuse why. It's just be that self-doubt. And then like somehow get that call, get that whatever it is, and it just give you that joke and be like, boom.
See, I think for me, it was, and probably unbeknownst to her. I don't think that she even knew. It's my mom, like her strength and her resilientness.
Ain't
Like,
women strong?
Man. And I think that just watching how strong she was and all the trials and tribulations that she'd been through, and yet still she stand, like for me, that was like fuel. You know what I'm saying? And my mom, I'm her favorite child. So my mom...
I'm my mama's favorite child too.
See?
But go ahead.
So my mom...
My mom won't tell me.
Because you're not. So your sister's your mom's favorite child.
I definitely.
So my mom would we would have conversations, and she would just like speak life. Even in her roughest times of me growing up, like she would always speak life into me and tell me all these great things that I was going to do. And I'm like, are you looking at me through mom eyes? You know,
Right.
Because that ain't what the world is telling me. But she's always had that fight for me to push and push and push. And so I use that now. Like, to me, sometimes it's like, my mom gonna be disappointed in me, even though I'm grown, and like it's probably, she can't whoop me anymore, which she could, but you know, I don't have that fear of that, but it's still instilled in me. I don't want to disappoint her and make her.
And that's what I be having a fear of failure.
And I don't want to disappoint her, and so I always try to make a way no matter what, right? So I brung that with me, and along with Mondo said, you know, like people like Michael Brown, right? I met him when I first started a Job Corps like 15 years ago. First week I was there, I said, Mike, I'm taking your job. And Mike was like, all right, let me show you how. Like literally, he's let me show you how. And he's always been a mentor to me, man. Like every move I make, and I've lived in a couple states and cities and stuff with work. He's the first person I always call when it's come to my career. Mike, what you think? This is what's going on. You know, then you got like Hugh Martin, you got Mario Cunningham, you know, you got Don, you know, a lot. I was blessed to play basketball with some great men. And it trickled outside of basketball where they would hold me accountable in other places.
Right.
And I think that's what really made a difference in my life, that they would hold me accountable in other places, not just on the court, but they'll see me doing something, or even now I can post something crazy. I may get an inbox from, take that down. You can't say that. You better than that. And I'd be like, it's my page. Take it down. And it comes down.
Yep, no question.
Because the commodity that we have, the respect that you have, and you know that when everything else crumbles, well, I know when everything else crumbles in this world, I can lose my job, I can lose my house, I can lose my car. I can call one of those brothers, not for anything,
right,
but just to say, this is where I'm at, I feel broken, and they're gonna drop what they got going on and have that conversation with me, give me some insight, and give me some resources. And because I know that, I'm not afraid to fail, because I know my foundation is gonna catch me. You know, I'm got a lot of brothers and sisters, but I'm closer with my sisters, so I know that my foundation is always going to catch me. So I'm not afraid to fail or try things.
Right.
So
it's family. Family is your rock. Family is the rock for most people.
Yeah, it's that foundation.
That foundation. So when we look at,
it's like a house appraisal.
Yeah.
You gotta check that foundation.
Gotta check the foundation.
Yeah.
So with that being said, checking your foundation, I think that people need to understand that their humble opinion is sometime taken from their foundation. No
Right.
matter what that foundation is built upon, somewhere your humble opinion was formed there. We enjoyed talking to you guys. Can't wait to talk to you again. We're signing off from Will, Mondo, and Daph. Keep them humble opinions humble. Peace out. Are we done, Matt?
You guys did great tonight.
Yeah, I just want to say, Mama, that was Mondo talking about his mama. That wasn't you. You
I
better.
want it to be like